Welcome to a Greater Reality Healing, Living, and Helping online meeting. This program is designed to help people consistently take higher energy paths during their earthly experience. Doing that after big changes or losses can create quantum leaps in your learning, growth, and service to others. Over time, this journey can help you. 1, adopt a worldview based on the great news about the nature of reality and live accordingly, whatever that means to you. Number 2, experience shorter, enlightened grieving. Number 3, fine-tune yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually or energetically. Number 4, become more aware of, benefit from, and share life's silver linings. Number 5, create the greatest life you have envisioned. You refers to your soul or consciousness. And number 6, share your greatest gifts and help make our world a better place. The evidence-based information about the big picture of life and free holistic resources in this program can help you to do this. Note that this program is not designed to replace traditional medical or psychotherapeutic care. 3 30-minute parts of each online meeting include presentation, breakout groups, and Q&A. Breakout groups are not to be recorded, but the rest is so that others can benefit from them. Discussions during meetings are confidential. You can share what occurred, but not from whom. If you're concerned about anonymity, just show your first name in your Zoom window and block your video image. You will receive YouTube links to class recordings via the Soul Proof and/or Soul Phone Project newsletter. Please subscribe to those if you haven't already. I'd now like to introduce our presenter, Mark Pitstick, MADC. He has over 50 years of experience helping many people in hospitals, pastoral counseling settings, mental health centers, holistic health clinics, and in other ways. To learn more about Mark, visit soulproof.com/about. Dr. Pitstick's 130 articles and 25 interviews with top experts are free at soulproof.com/articles and /radio shows. His 8 ebooks, 10 audio programs, 4 audio books, and documentary film are also free at soulproof.com/shop. Welcome, Mark, and welcome to all of you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. It's a sacred honor to remind you what you already know. As you understand, our working motto is that you each are, because it's the truth, you each are eternal, powerful, wise, special souls. However, as you know, it's easy to develop spiritual amnesia when we get to Earth, get sidetracked, etc. So again, it's an honor to share this with you. And kudos for opening to a higher energy path to healing, living, and helping others in our world. Starting with this class, we will combine those original ideas to have 3 different programs, but we realized they're so interrelated, first of all, and it'll be a lot simpler. Okay. Brain just died. It'll be a lot simpler to run everything if we have one program. So, for example, some people need to heal before they can optimally live and help others. So again, greater reality healing, living, helping. However, it can work the other way around. Optimal living is immensely healing, and it creates extra vitality and clarity for helping others in our planet. And helping others in our world is a powerful way to heal yourself and create the greatest life you have envisioned. So that's one of the biggest reasons we decided just to group these together, and you'll notice the shifts. Now, in this presentation, I'll cover highlights because all of this information is already in the articles and videos, which I'll show you momentarily. I can't cover all that, even if I talk really, really fast. And so I would like to introduce you to different topics, hopefully whet your appetite, motivate you to learn more. So I'm going to screen share now and show you some of those resources. So first of all, here we are. This is the soulproof.com website. And if you're not muted, please mute yourself. And Jen and Allison, if you would, make sure that happens, please. So soulproof.com, and first of all, the top tab, articles. So if you click on that, you'll notice 130 articles that come up when a loved one's body is murdered, when you're thinking about suicide, meditation, drugs, alcohol, and greater reality living. I thought I was going to say rock and roll, didn't you? And etc. I mean, just somebody stop me, please. Every time people, come up with ideas. So these are all free, and some of them have been translated in French. Then next, greater reality programs, which we're doing now. The top tab talks about all of the programs, gives you an overview. Excuse me. The second tab has a link to the article number 82 for greater reality healing. Where's my speed here? There we go. And then also the videos. Greater reality healing is the largest by far of information. 18 30-minute videos. Why? Because there are so many factors needed to discuss for different people who face unique challenges, which can look like losses, from a human perspective. So it's a lot, but it's well worth it. I was thinking today, one person said, well, your article's so long. And I thought, what the hell? I spent over 50, I'm working on this stuff ever since I was a kid. And you know how many books I read, seminars I attended. I spent time with the cream of the crop, Brian Weiss and Raymond Moody and Wayne Dyer, Bernie Siegel, you name it. Wrote 8 books, all the research, and I've compiled that. It's like gold in these articles and videos, and yet I was like, could you present that in a 5-minute version, please? Anyway, so that's we're talking about greater reality healing, and then if we go to then there's sub-tabs for greater reality living. And so now all of this is important to watch. It's a much shorter article, and there are only 2 half-hour videos on greater reality living. That is, how can you create the greatest life of your dreams? How would you choose to live when you really knew the great news, which we'll talk about in a bit? And then same thing for greater reality helping. And I think there's only one. Well, let's find out. 3 videos on that. And again, it talks about the article 119. So you get the idea. The other thing I recommend on the soulproof.com website are the radio shows. Again, free, as is everything. And some of those names that I mentioned before, Carolyn Mace, Bill Guggenheim, a pioneer in after-death communication fields, Anita Moorjani. I mean, these are just such wonderful interviews. Neil Douglas Class, Aramaic scholar. So there's that. Then there's the Soul Phone Project website, which will help you learn about this. And the research being done by Dr. Gary Schwartz and his team really represents the greatest, perhaps, hope and power behind all of this, because we're literally on the precipice of a new age where we have scientific research showing that life continues after bodily death, but then technology allowing communication with loved ones who have passed on, as well as luminaries, scientists, inventors, religious teachers, etc. So it's going to change everything for the better. And so it's helpful to know about that. And again, that's part of what gives hope and impetus for these programs we're doing. And finally, I'll share the helpingparentsheal.org website, particularly at the top tab, YouTube videos, and then the first sub-tab under that. And this is where I interviewed 130 parents. We call them Shining Light parents. Each one of them are caring listeners and or local group leaders. And their information is very important for everyone, not just parents who've had children pass. And then finally, their resources under resources, and then Shining Light resources. And these are available to everyone, and everything is free. So I know it's can be a little overwhelming, but I wanted to share all that. All right, so where are my notes? I take this pretty laid back and even with a little humor, purposely, because as it's been said, God is like a comedian playing to an audience that's too afraid to laugh. And I've been around several Hindu yogis over the years, and they giggle a lot. And I understand it because life is just so funny when you realize that all of our fears, all of our worries, and so on are totally needless. Um, and the average human, many of their beliefs about life, death, and afterlife are 180 degrees wrong. And so it's like, God, no wonder we're in a mess, in so many ways. So hopefully each one of you can brighten the corner where you are and help with that. All right, in class number 1, I introduced this program that contains evidence-based information and holistic resources, which can help you think, speak, and act in higher energy ways, no matter what your past or current circumstances. And I don't make that statement lightly. I make it because I know people who have demonstrated it. And I mentioned last time, people who are paralyzed, people who are blind, people who are sexually abused, raped, etc. And people have had 5 children, all their children pass, and yet they're brightly shining. They're looking for how they can help others instead of having a big pity party. So no criticism for people who are on that stage, but there's a much higher path available. So if you haven't seen class number 1 recording, or you didn't attend, please watch it. What I'm going to talk about today will make a lot more sense. And again, that's at soulproof.com/greater reality programs. And then the sub tab is recordings. So in this class, I'll discuss the first 3 keys to help you optimally heal, live, and help others in our world. There are 18 total keys. We'll cover 3 today. So the first one is to use conscious language. And you may notice that when I speak sometime, like, well, that's kind of an odd way, like, parents with a child whose body died. Why don't I just say children, parents with a dead child, or a child who died? Well, because the child didn't die, just the body did. And that turns out to be much, much less than 1% of what we each are. And so the conscious language is so important because words, whether we're thinking them, saying them, or writing them, affect what we believe. And then our beliefs affect how we feel and act. So you want to feel great and you want to act your highest and do what you came here to do and experience a heavenly life, whether you're on earth or beyond. Well, learn about the nature of reality and then use conscious language. For example, upgrading your language can help you better detect signs from your dear ones who have changed worlds. And here's my understanding of how that works. Those who have passed on to the really real place, home, heaven, whatever you want to call it, they're in realms characterized by more higher energies, emotions, and ways of being: peace, joy, love, gratitude, enthusiasm, enlightenment, etc. Well, if you're coming from a place where you have excess pain, sadness, guilt, anger, etc., You're on a different wavelength. You're not going to be able to pick them up. It's like they're on FM 109 and you're on AM 87. You're not going to detect them. So this is one of the ways I help people better detect signs from their loved ones who have passed on and develop a different kind of relationship now is by getting more on that same wavelength. Every time you realize you're not thinking, saying, acting in the highest ways, just make that shift. Don't castigate yourself about it, but just make that little shift. So then you can better receive or detect their signs in living presence, and you can be a better transmitter or sender to them. Here's another example of the importance of conscious language. We recently celebrated my coming to Earth 72 years ago. Now, that doesn't mean that my real self, is 72, just my earthly body is. My real self is eternal, just as with all of you. And that's a really big distinction. Now, again, when you first start, so when somebody says to me, "How old are you?" I say, "Which I are you talking about? My higher self, my eternal self, or this physical shell?" And they're like, "Well, this guy's weird." But it's really important to make those kind of distinctions. It takes a little bit of work, but it's so important. Many people have told me over the years that just making this one shift toward more accurate conscious language helped them immensely. And I especially recommend using conscious language for the following terms. First of all, death. Despite the vast amount of evidence that life continues seamlessly after the body perishes, the term death and dead is still strongly anchored to meaning a cessation of life. It's just what has accumulated over the years. So I recommend using other terms that more accurately describe what really happens. Pass on, not pass away, because it sounds like passed away, gone, but pass on. Change worlds, which is a Native American term. I love it. Transition to the next phase of life, crossover, graduate from Earth School. In India, they say, drop the body, which I love. Hey, where's Ram? I haven't seen him around lately. Oh, he dropped his body. Well, no big deal, because in some cultures at least, they understand the big picture of life better, and their language reflects it. The next word is lost. I don't use this word to describe what happens when a loved one passes on. A lot of people do. First I lost my mother, and then I lost my father, and we lost our dog, and I'm like, well, where are they? If you lost them, is somebody going to find them? I try to joke a little bit to break their state and help them realize what they're doing. In our Soul Proof documentary film, a spiritualist minister we interviewed said, I went to a funeral and the family was all around the casket crying, talking about how much they will miss him. He said, I'm across the room talking to the guy. So again, I mean, what a difference. And so that's why it's so important to learn the great news, to understand that no one really dies, and that you can't really lose loved ones for several reasons. First of all, your relationship is an eternal part of your life. Even in a different slice of life, you may not be, for example, married to each other. You might be brother and sister, or parent or child. You have a different relationship, but that time when you were a spouse, or the time when you were a mother-child, exists throughout eternity. It's like a book in a library that you could check out and reread if you wanted, or it's like a movie that you could watch again, but that continues in a very sacred way. And that's more than a poetic, nice thought, since there's some scientific and much clinical evidence that indicates this is so. For example, some quantum physicists posit that all information, energy, and light, what Dr. Gary Schwartz calls info energy, is stored in space. And some call that the zero point field, some call it the Akashic records. Um, but it's stored in space. Now you understand that we're really each beings of energy, consciousness, information, and that can manifest in different ways. Right now, it's manifesting for each of us. It looks like we're in a human body, solid. You got your laptop or smart device in front of you, but really, that's an optical delusion. It's a dance of energy. So I say that it's like you have a main electrical cable that comes into your house through the air underground, and then that electricity can manifest in different ways. It can make the TV work or the toaster work or the light shine. Well, it's in a similar way is your energy, your consciousness, who you really are, the totality of who you are can manifest in different ways and simultaneously. Then have to just be an earthly incarnation. And then finally, this idea of you don't really lose someone, as discussed in article number 75 on multi-location, you and your loved ones might be together right now in a simultaneous reality. Another way to say that is a different space-time slice of life that is just as real as this one seems. So enough about loss. Another word I recommend is earthly experience. Some people say, well, his life ended. And I say, no, it didn't. That's not possible. Your life can't end. His earthly experience might have ended, but his life didn't. Again, big, big difference. And here's the key phrase here. Earthly experiences are very brief, but life is forever. So I recommend you take the trouble to change that one and be more specific in your terms. Using the term earthly experience also reminds you that what you perceive as this solid human incarnation is only relatively real, and we just talked about it. It's actually more like a virtual reality experience than most people imagine. And if you haven't experienced virtual reality technology, do so. And that'll help stretch your mind and realize, the brain can be tricked. When I had on my headset and I looked down, instead of legs, I saw a mermaid's tail. And there it is. I mean, it's just as real as me looking down and seeing my legs now. It's like, so we can't totally trust what we see after all. So what seems to be happening, because you realize not everybody on Earth is having the same experience. Experience is reality the same. What seems to be happening is a combination of perceptions of your brain-based consciousness that is based on what your brain perceives, the neuroelectrical impulses, but also your transcendent source of consciousness, or what your soul detects. And that's why it's important, by the way, to take some time and quiet the brain, which thinks it knows everything but detects much less than 1% of reality, and give your consciousness time to come to the fore. And that's what can see more of the big picture of life. And one way to do that, quiet the brain, is to use centering practices. And those are discussed in article number 77, again at soulproof.com. All right. So suggested action steps for key number one. The last time I provided suggested action steps at the very end, and but I decided I'm going to just say them as we go, because all these action steps are listed in the article. So for me to list them, it's a pretty big list. And also I want people to be able to look at the article and say, no, I don't need that one. Yeah, that one would help, because not everyone's alike. So for key number one, read article number 116, which is entitled Terms for Optimally Living on Earth and Beyond, more about conscious living. And then choose, once you've read that article, and after tonight, just choose 3 words that you'd like to update. For example, death, die, lost, and post them where you'll see them. and then write what you would like to replace instead. Similarly, ask 3 people who are close to you to gently remind you if you say any of those words that are limiting or inaccurate. And that will help them, by the way, and help them understand more about the nature of reality. And then finally, read the conscious language chapter of the book I wrote based on the interviews with 130 parents, and also I had 4 editors, and Nancy Hedgena, one of our moderators, is one of them. So it's called Shining Light Parents Speak. It's free, as are all the books, under Shop. And read the conscious language chapter because it talks much more about this. So that's the first key. The next key is internalize the great news. We talked about the great news in the first class. Briefly, that's a list of 10 indications about how life is set up that Dr. Gary Schwartz and I identified, all based on scientific and or clinical evidence. And as well, each one of them is supported by a huge amount of experiential evidence that is based on firsthand experience. So see article number 19, and also listed on page 5 of the Greater Reality Healing article, article number 82, is that list. I recommend that you print those out and post them, because each one of us has been taught different things about life, and I would give a religion on average a C minus, maybe a D plus grade about how they discuss life, death, and the afterlife. So a lot of us are operating under misinformation. And the great news, again, our best current understandings about the nature of reality, is called that because it's all great news. I mean, there's no downsides there. And so it's so important to learn. But this topic, this key is about internalizing the great news. In other words, not just superficially and intellectually knowing it, but deeply internalizing it. So that's your
The 5 minutes, let me know
that's your
before
second
my
point.
guys.
Let's please mute yourself, everyone. Thank you. So when you read the great news, it may sound too good to be true, especially if you were abused, exposed to misinformation or misinformed preaching, or otherwise suffer deeply. However, again, there's lots of evidence for it. So if any of those things happen to you, that can block internalizing the great news and living accordingly, whatever that means for you. So we'll just talk about 2 ways to release old wounds and fear-based teachings. And the first would be my holistic breathing technique. It's described in article number 70, and there's an audio program for that under Shop. And also the love, acceptance, and forgiveness technique, and the acronym for that is LAUGH, described in article number 40. Again, that's an audio program, love, acceptance, and forgiveness technique. That's possible to attain no matter how much a person has physically, emotionally, mentally, and or sexually abused you. And I know it's so common. One statistic is up to 1/3 of women have been sexually abused. That's just unfathomable. And yet here we are, and we can do better. And by the way, loving, accepting, forgiving them doesn't require you to condone their behavior. It doesn't negate seeking legal justice. It doesn't mean you need or want to have a relationship with them now or in the next phase of life. However, it means letting go of your end of the rope in the tug of war. Just not owning that anymore, releasing it, healing, because you suffer the most when you hang on to past negativity and the accompanying lower energy emotions. And Lord knows enough people have tried excess alcohol, drugs, promiscuity, excess materialism, and other lower energy ways to numb out, and big shock, it doesn't work. I mean, this is behind many people's problems and relationship problems and so on. So that's why it's so important to love, accept, and forgive others and yourself. Yourself, because so many people are critical of themselves and they get stuck in self-blame and in guilt. That's why one of my mottos is everyone is doing the best they can given their current level of consciousness. Um, like Oprah says, when you know better, you do better. And the nice thing is we can change our level of consciousness. So it's not fair. I do this more than I want. It's one of the things I'm working on. I look at the past, and past vision is 2020. Oh, I should have done this. I could have done that. I should have seen that coming. Well, yeah, that's not fair because when you're in the middle of it, you're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. Being on Earth is not easy. So it's really not fair to yourself. It's certainly not beneficial to judge yourself and what you could have done. What I work on is to honor what happened, to learn from it, be grateful for the experience, and resolve to do better in the future. Resolve to transmute what happened to how I realize I could do now. Let's see what else. As before, I'm running short on time, so I'm going to have to skip a few things. A few more words about abusers, or people who mistreated you, judged you, mean, prejudice in any way. I know there's an awful lot of it. First of all, they may be beginner souls. They're just learning their way around the block. Michael Newton, PhD, author of Journey in Souls, The Destiny of Souls, founder of Life Between Lives Therapy, estimates about 85% of people on Earth right now are beginner souls. So that explains a lot of things, right? Next, people with intermediate to advanced levels of energy may volunteer out of love to be abused. Why? To help less evolved souls learn how not to be. So if you notice if you've been abused, it may not be karmic learning or something you have to learn. It could be that you volunteered to help others learn. And then there's also the tricky little topic of contrast souls. That is, it's possible that your abusers are actually soul mates fulfilling roles that you ask them to do. We can't get into this, but see article number 67 to learn more about that tantalizing topic. Bottom line, the more you internalize the great news, the easier it is for you to live accordingly, to know the big picture of life, no matter what's going on around you, and to have a heavenly level of life. So suggested action steps: mention printing out the list of the great news, read it daily, read article number 72 about the Greater Reality Living Program, which has more practical discussion on how you can internalize the great news. Talk with trusted family, friends, and counselors to help release blocks that keep you from internalizing it. And then using the 2 audio programs I mentioned, Holistic Breathing Technique and Love, Acceptance, Forgiveness. And finally, I'm working as fast as I can, Allison and Jim. Key number 3, grieve your own way, or and more generally, respond your own way. So this is another key to optimally healing, living, and helping others in our world. No matter what kind of big change you've gone through, give yourself permission to respond in ways that feel right to you. Listen to your inner voice, and we'll talk about how you can do that, and that of your spiritual support team about how to proceed. As you might have experienced, well-meaning family and friends might say to you, you should be over this by now. Just get another puppy. It's time to find someone else. It's only money. At least you can move your upper body. I mean, these are all actual statements that people have been told who are in the midst of suffering. So again, keep in mind, they don't know what to say. They're trying to help. Don't hold it against them. So this program can help lighten your grieving and expedite finding, benefiting from, and sharing the silver linings in your own way, in your own time. Everyone's different. Who knows what your soul's agenda is? You may need to be in the dark night of the soul for a couple years and you'll learn so much from that. In other words, that might be part of the plans. So that's why there's no set way to do it. Faster is not always better, although often it is. So reaching this level of awareness and activism usually isn't easy or happen overnight, but it is possible to do. And one of the keys is to know that it's okay, it's normal, it's good to feel opposing emotions at the same time. This is one of the many lessons that came out of the 130 Shining Light Parents interviews and seeing the commonality. And as they shared that, at some point they realized, I can feel sad and miss my child and wish this hadn't happened, and at the same time choose to find the silver linings, to share them with others. I can feel sad, but also get out there and help others and make a difference, to honor my child, to create more meaning, and to help me heal. And that takes a little wrapping your head around, to have directly contradicting emotions at the same time, but it's possible to feel both those, and it's a really powerful way forward. So in article number 82, I list 10 reasons why people would respond to big changes and challenges differently. I'll just mention 3 of them briefly. First of all, your level of consciousness. Are you a beginner, intermediate, or more advanced soul, or level of consciousness? Now, these terms describe how evolved your awareness is now, not the age of your soul. And your degree of evolution is not static. It's something you can change overnight. Many people you've read about, instantly seeing the light. That's where the saying comes from. Realize your true nature, who you are, why you're here, who walks beside you always, and then live accordingly. And that then upgrades your level of soul advancement. A second factor is the number of changes. If you get double teamed by 2 or more big changes in a short period of time, it can make it more difficult to keep your balance. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the people I work with. One woman, her mom passed on. A few months later, her son did. And a few months later, her husband went blind and lost his job. As a result of all that, she couldn't do her job, which required a lot of energy and working with people. She could only work part-time. That's a lot. Luckily, with the information and resources that we're sharing in this program, she was able to make a turnaround and again, find the silver linings and help others. And you can do that too. And finally, the quality of your support team. When you're dealing with big changes of any type, it's a lot easier when you have loving and supportive family, friends, pets, and healthcare providers. It's also useful to attend open-minded and open-hearted religious or spiritual centers and meetings that can help, like this one, for example. Many people want to help, especially more advanced souls, but they can't if you don't reach out. So please don't suffer in silence. Reach out. It's okay to lean on someone, and then later you can pay it forward when you're able to stand on your own. So suggested action steps for key number 3, use the Ask Your Soul, Angels, and the Light audio program. It's described in article number 71. And this is why I mentioned earlier about accessing your inner wisdom and that of your spiritual support team. Turn down the brain, get in touch, and ask some questions and let the answers pop up too. Really, really powerful. Read article number 128, My Advice If You Are a More Advanced Soul or Want to Become One. That was fun to write. Read articles number 29, Optimally Handling Suffering, 51, Meditation, Yoga, and Relaxation, and 88, Prayer. And finally, read my book, again, free, Ask the Soul Doctor, where I answer 171 of the most commonly asked questions to me over the years. So those are the resources there. The last thing I'd want to share is, and I will do this for each one of the classes, is to listen to music. This is a general suggested action step. Listen to music that inspires, energizes, and empowers you. I was listening to one last week on vacation, and I had tears in my eyes. And I said, you know what? I'm going to share this. The song is called Have You Heard by the Moody Blues. It's on their album Threshold of a Dream. And I interpret the words, words can be interpreted in different ways, but it reminds me that we're all integral, special, and powerful parts of all that is. The word, have you heard, and they refer to a word, is Om. Okay, and that was kind of a theme throughout the album. Om is the sound that ancient Hindu rishis were talking about 1000 BC, that they sensed the creator and sustainer of all life, and they detected it most powerfully as visually light, but sound, Om, that sound. Depending on your religious, spiritual views, your word may be love, Jesus, Allah, etc. So you not be tied to the Om, but check that one out. It's a really great song and a really great message, or whatever music works for you. And that is my presentation meeting now, where you can ask any questions you want about any topic, your biggest questions, your toughest challenges, and I will share my best understandings. So who would like to ask the first one?
Mark, this is Sajini Thomas. Would you be able to email us the names of all the articles you mentioned? I was driving and I didn't get a chance to write it down.
No, those are all listed, dear, in the articles. So if you see article number 82 under keys 1 through 3, because we don't have an email list of everyone. Now, in the future, we may have an automated system, but for now, just see article number 82 and it's all in there. Okay?
Okay, 82. Okay.
All right. And who is up next? Tony?
Yes, hi. I'm wondering, are there any updates on the cell phone?
Well, first of all, I allowed it so I could see you, and now here you are. Okay, so that's just a set picture, and then I'm seeing a patio by a lake.
Yeah,
Um,
let me see if I can. Sorry about that.
there we go. Okay. Well, thank you for that. It's better to see a live person. And so your question again, please.
Yes, any updates on the cell phone?
What is happening, you say?
Yeah, if there are any updates on the cell
Yeah.
phone, and is that going to be attainable by everyone, or those of us who are seeking?
Yeah, well, that's a big topic, but I'll just share a little bit. The research and development continues. We've had, so for those of you who don't know much about the website, soulphone.org, and I've been working with Dr. Gary Schwartz for 9 years on this project. He's been working for 20 years to develop technology to allow communication with what we call post-material persons, those who have passed on. And again, two categories, our loved ones who have changed worlds, but then also luminary scientists, inventors, etc., who want to help us heal our world. And we've attained different devices in the past, but none of them that were suitable for commercialization. And to be suitable, they have to be accurate, that is, in near real time. For example, we had a switch that took about 5 minutes to give a yes or no answer. Well, a yes or no, that's like one key. So you can't get much done if you're typing one key every 5 minutes. Other devices were not properly secure because there were some potential abuses there. And Dr. Schwartz takes that very seriously. our goal is to produce post-material person communication technology that's as accurate, reliable, rapid, safe as current smart devices. And so to answer your question, our goal is to also have it available to nearly everyone. We say if people can't afford a cell phone, we want them to be able to afford a soul phone or the service. In the beginning, this will probably be a service like an app rather than a take-home device. You know, it's hard to foresee how this will work out in terms of commercialization because it's unprecedented. You know, if it were easy to do, it would have been done a long time ago. It's really, really difficult. However, Dr. Schwartz, and those, again, who don't know, former Harvard, Yale, and University of Arizona professor, 2 near-death experiences, brilliant genius, but also his heart is as big as his intellect. He deeply loves people, nature, the planet, and he has a deep motivation as a scientist to prove more about the greater reality. How is life really set up? He's already proved he's finishing a journal paper right now that scientifically proves that life continues after bodily death. So he's just wonderful to have. But he's very careful about his statements that he makes. And but he says now that he no longer considers it a if this technology will be developed, it's more a question of when. So we have a wonderful team of engineers, software specialists, evidential mediums who help. So again, this provides so much hope and power for the future. And I hope that's part of what touches people and makes them realize, even though things seem dark in some ways and hopeless, it's not. I mean, we can be that far from making a breakthrough. I mean,
And it seems that they are so eager from the other side to also communicate with us because you know, from a human perspective, we get lost in our egos, our everyday lives, and it makes it so difficult for them to come through to us. And so that they really seem to want to be able to get through to us and say, hey, I'm here.
yeah, it's not a question of their motivation. It's a question of measuring their signal and keep, you know, depending on the terms you use, they're in a different dimension. And, you know, I can't communicate to people in another dimension, and apparently it's difficult for them too. But thank you for asking, and stay tuned. If for all of you, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to the soulphone.org newsletter and the soulproof.com newsletter, and that's how you'll learn updates about this. Also, that's where I'll share the YouTube link for tonight's recording and others in the future. Thank you, Tony. And Marianne, I think you're up next, dear.
Yes, so like as you know, like my daughter, she died of suicide 3.5 years ago, and
Excuse me again. We had the same problem last night, didn't we? So are you
yeah,
close,
like
Mike?
um, yeah, can you hear me now?
Let's try it.
Yes, so like Sayuri, like she passed of suicide 3.5 years ago. Can you hear me now?
So far.
Um, no, I suffer from terrible guilt uh, because I feel like I didn't leave my marriage earlier because I believe my partner contributed a lot to the abuse, different kinds of abuse, and I didn't have the strength to leave my marriage. So now it's like hitting me a lot. So
Yep.
I'm wondering how to deal with that.
Yeah, well, guilt about one thing or another is one of the most commonly lower energy emotions of humans in general. And we were talking about it's very common to I would have, I should have, I could have, but especially when a loved one passes, and a lot of parents have to go through this. If only I would have done this, maybe he or she wouldn't have passed. And it serves no one. And if your child could talk with you right now and communicate, he'd say, Mom, please quit doing that. There's good evidence that there is a rhyme and a reason, a timing when people pass on. I'm around some of the top evidential mediums in the world, excuse me, and they say that events are known in quote spirit world 6 months, 6 weeks or more before they happen on earth. That is, these things are planned. There's a timing. And so please relieve yourself of that weight that if you would have done this, if you would have done that. The two best ways to do it, one, we already mentioned the holistic breathing technique, described in article number 70. Do it at least twice a week, 45 minutes of deep, noisy, diaphragmatic breathing. You'll cry your heart out. You'll pound the mattress. Make sure you do it in a time and place where you can just let it go. And you let go of all that anger and guilt and shame and blame, those lower energy emotions I mentioned that keep you from being on the same wavelength and sensing your dear child. And then the second audio program I recommend for you is the Ask Your Soul, Angels, and the Light technique, which again we mentioned today. Article, I think, number 45. I'll look it up as we talk, and use that audio program so you can get in Article 71, Ask Your Soul, Angels, and the Light. And so we turn down the brain, you're in touch with your real self, and you just ask, how can I release this guilt? How can I heal? And they, being your higher self, your angels and so on, will let you know. So start with that. And then to you and all of you, my email address is mark@soulproof.com. And shoot me an email and say in 60 days, let me know how you're doing, and we'll go from there. Okay? And Laura, you were up next.
I wanted to ask you if you've ever heard of the phone of the wind.
The phone of the what?
Of the wind.
Wind. I have. And it's nothing at all like the Soul Phone project. From what I heard, it's basically the one I saw was like near a beach or out in nature, and it's like a phone booth, and you pick it up, and you may hear some sounds. It's kind of a pretend thing. I'm not degrading it in any way. I think anything that helps people realize our loved ones are alive, well, and very near, and we can communicate with them. So if doing that, and there are different, like there are AI ones now where the artificial intelligence, of course, has all the information out there, so you can pretend to ask your loved one who passed questions, and AI will assemble it from the known information and provide an answer, and perhaps even in their voice based on audio recordings that you provide. These are fine. What we're going for is the real deal. Like right now, we don't think anything of a loved one's traveling to China, say on the other side of the planet. You can call them and talk to them. We want to be able to do that with Soul Phone. And their first is Soul Keyboard, texting and typing, then Soul Audio, talking with, and then Soul Video, seeing and hearing, very much like we're using now, but in 3D. So it's the next best thing to how it was before.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, why do you ask? And anything else you'd like to ask?
No, that was just it. I wanted to know if you had heard of that.
Yeah, it's part of my job to keep up on everything else. We have an article, I think it's 108, but let me see. There's a lot of different approach. 106. So it's called ITC and cell phone project comparison, because there's electronic voice projection and instrumental transcommunication. So article number 106. So we compare a lot of those different approaches with the cell phone project. So is this your dear one behind you?
Yeah, I lost two children. I lost a 2-year-old back in 1994 of cancer. And then the one behind me, he was 25. I lost him in December of 23 of fentanyl poisoning.
Oh my goodness. Boy, the eyes, so the young fellow over your left shoulder, his eyes, boy, that looks like an old soul. And so maybe in the future you can use quotation marks around lost.
Sorry.
Because they're probably right beside you and saying, "What the hell, Mom? You didn't lose us? Couldn't lose
I
him?"
usually say he transitioned.
Yeah. Okay.
December 14th, 2023.
Yeah. Well, no criticism, just a teaching moment.
Yes.
Thanks for the question. God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, it's a sacred privilege, believe me.
Thank you.
Allison, you're up next. Oh, before we start, we should, Allison Wakeland, you want to say your thing?
Oh, well, just this could be the formal end of our meeting. So if people wish to leave, that's fine from now. But I do suspect that Mark is quite happy to stay and answer more questions if you'd like to, if you have more. Our next Tuesday meeting will be August the 12th. And we also have a meeting on Sunday, July 27th, but that sort of will be pretty much a repeat of this one. Okay, thank you for coming.
And let me elaborate on that. Pretty much a repeat. My presentation will be similar, but of course the breakout groups will be different and the Q&A will be different. And the other thing, we ask you to share this program with others. We're just getting started. So thank you for telling family, friends, people who could use it. Bring them along with you to the next meeting. All right, with that, thank you, Allison. And yeah, I'm glad to answer questions till let's do at least a few more. But wasn't there an Allison?
Yeah, Allison was just about to ask her question. Go ahead, Allison.
Hi, thank you,
Okay.
Allison. Thank you, Mark. I just wanted to make a comment that I'm so grateful to be here and to hear and participate. But my daughter Jenny transitioned 3 years ago, and it's only probably been in the last couple months where I feel like I'm really choosing to live fully and to hold both the pain and the joy of what a miraculous experience it is to be in this vessel for however long that we are. And I do have a hard time just 100% accepting that she's not in her vessel. But then whenever I feel kind of really sad, I'm like, what am I feeling sad about? And then I feel her say, I'm right here. What are you feeling so sad about? So, but, and she said, I used to say I'm her number one fan, but now she says she's my number one fan, and she really wants me to live fully, joyfully, and that in a blink of an eye, whether I live 30 years or 5 days, to live it as deeply and fully as she did. So that's all I had to share.
Well said. Do you know, Allison, about my afterlife contact technique?
No.
Remember, we discussed that the brain is a wonderful slave, but a horrible master. And again, it thinks it knows everything, and really it knows very little. So in this technique, I use a hypnotic induction, deep relaxation, and guided imagery to turn down your brain and then allow your consciousness to become aware of her. I've used this with thousands of people, and about 75% report a meaningful experience the first time they use it. So the article that discusses this is article number 9, and the technique, again, afterlife contact, is under shop. And so you can use that. If you run any questions or problems, shoot me an email, mark@soulproof.com. But this way you can develop a fuller relationship with her, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, Jenny.
Yeah.
Jenny.
Until you pass on, and then see her more fully.
Yes. Thank you. So it's number 9.
Article number 9.
Okay.
And are you part of Helping Parents Heal?
Yeah. I saw you at the
Okay.
conference last summer. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to share, by the way, but I was zipping through my notes. But such a wonderful. So you were there. You know what it was like. 1,100 parents, and all of them have had one or more children have passed on. And you think, oh my God, this would be the most depressing, sad group in the world. There was so much hugging and laughing and joy and service. And so there are several bystanders, people who weren't part of the conference, who came by and said, wow, what a energized and loving group. How can I join? And they were told, no, you don't want to join this group. And it's ironic because, bereaved parents groups are called the group that no one wants to be a member of. And here people are asking how they can join. So,
Thank
yeah.
you, Mark.
Well, way to be strong as a bear. I'm glad you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel more. And you're right. Your daughter's rooting for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
All right. My pleasure. Take care.
Thanks.
Deborah, you're up next.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that in the comments, Alexis, we had a pretty sacred experience in our breakout room. She's sitting with her mother right now, who is transitioning as we were in our breakout room, and she asked, and I don't know if she can come on and speak. So she said, "Is there any advice on my mom currently transitioning?" And we were so
Of course.
so good to be with her, but wanted to bring that to you.
Wow, what an honor to be present in that moment. Alexis, how about give a little more information? In other words, is she coherent? Is she lucid at all? Or what's her state of
She
awareness?
said she's a few
Hours.
hours. There she is. There you are, Alexis.
Hi.
Good.
Hello, and can she hear? Can you determine?
I was told that she can hear and that even after, because right now the breaths are shallow. Um, she's on the oxygen because she's on the hospice. She stopped her dialysis last week, Tuesday. So today, Tuesday, is officially 8 days. The last day was Tuesday. She was due on it for Thursday, 3 times a week. So we moved into hospice because she was going through like a lot. And then even coming into hospice, like the medications that they were giving her, it was really, really bad before they finally got her under control. So when I flew into Atlanta on Thursday night, and I finally came to see her on Friday, she was just grimacing and like just, I mean, there was a point, it came to a point where she was like screaming, but like in a baby voice because I don't know, I guess she's like losing her voice. And also, so she can't be loud, but so, and that just like broke me apart. Like it was so sad. It was really, really, really hard. And now at this point, there's no verbal communication at all. And the only time she opened up both of her eyes was when they used like a Hoya to lift her from one bed to the next because the bed that she was in didn't work. And now a nurse came about just before that's why I was late coming to the program. I was talking to that nurse, and she said her eyes are not What did she say? She basically said it's a matter of time. Like it's not
Right,
going to be long
right.
at all.
Okay. Well, I've been around lots of people as they pass, and it's really a sacred opportunity because what you'll soon see is it's nothing to fear. So many people, when they pass, they get this just this little peaceful smile on their face, and what a relief to drop the body. Dr. Ken Ring, who interviewed more near-death experiencers than anyone perhaps except PMH Atwater, said if you want to know what it's like, these people who were clinically dead and came back and reported, they said, recall your 10 best days on earth, your happiest, healthiest, most energetic, how good you felt. Now multiply that by 1,000,000. And that's what people say it feels like when you drop the body, especially when it's aged and infirm and are embraced by the light. When you remember who you really are and who's holding you every step of the way. So that's what she's going through. Even though her human body isn't totally dead, her soul is probably 90% gone, maybe even more than that. In other words, she already has 1 foot in the next world. So I would say, first of all, for you and the family, just know that she's not suffering. And in fact, I wrote an article. Oh gosh, so many articles. I'll find it in a moment here because it's really important to discuss at this point. Um, but basically, all the evidence I could find that shows that those who are near bodily death are not suffering because the consciousness separates from the body. And so, even if she's making noises and so on, it looks like she's suffering, she's not in touch with that. Yeah, it's article number 126. Can the soul exit the body before severe suffering and death? 126. The answer is yes. So don't worry about her. The other thing is for you and other family members, if you're there at the moment of her passing, stay alert because many people have what's a shared death experience, also called a shared crossing. Um, and I can find the article on that. And this is where you will experience some of what she does. You'll feel a deep peace. You may see lights change in the room. You may sense loved ones, people, and pets who have passed on before her. They're called the welcoming committee. They're there to help her return home. And yeah, it's article number 96, shared crossings. So just know all that. As far as what you can do for her, I mean, one of the simplest ways is just speak loudly and clearly in her ear. Mom, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. But even if she doesn't respond, she might be to the point where she can't do that. Hearing is often the last sense to go. But even if she can't physically hear you, her real self, her soul, is looking down on all this and just smiling. So what you can say, we love you. We're ready for you to go. Don't worry about us. We're going to be fine. You go ahead. You've, like the Bible talks about, you've run the good race. You've fought the good fight. She completed her earthly missions. And so you can emphasize that with her. Also, those who are passing love to be touched. So rub her feet, rub her shoulders, cool compress, just do physical things like don't be afraid to touch her. When my dad was passing, I was touching him a lot, and my sister said, "Why do you keep touching him?" And dad said, I like it. I like all these massages and so on. So be sure to touch her. Just tell her how much she means to you, how much, and recall. It's like, do you remember when I was a little girl? Or do you remember? In other words, one of the things that helps people let go, because oftentimes near the end, people will hold on because they're afraid their loved ones aren't ready. They're afraid their loved ones won't handle it. And sometimes they say, you know, did I do everything I was supposed to do? And so if you say, Mom, you did so much, and then just talk about people she helped and times where she came through and was there for you all. So that's it. Just, you know, follow your heart. You've probably been around dying before, if not in this time, space, in others. So just listen to your heart. Pray, certainly, you know, say her prayers with her. Mom, you know, like say a prayer. You know, dear God, Jesus, whoever you're associated with, thank you for helping Mom pass on. She did such a great job. Um, the other thing is singing songs. She has some favorite songs. One of my dad's was Amazing Grace. And so as he was near passing, about 15 of his family were around. And so we sang it to him. And then several hours later, this choir, church choir, was touring the hospice. And they came by and said, would you like us to sing a song? We said, sure, you know, whatever you'd like to sing. They started singing Amazing Grace. And then that night, hours before he passed, the nurses were giving him a bath and changing his clothes and so on. And of course, they were humming Amazing Grace. So, yeah, whatever song she likes. So, all of those things. But the most important thing is don't be afraid. You know, she can feel. And so this will give you a chance to embrace bodily death. It's part of life. You know, it's a cycle. I mean, look at it, nature. So just do all that. And do me a favor, please, when everything's calmed down and so on, just send me an email, mark@soulproof.com. Let me know how that went. And if anybody in your family is having any follow-up, um, any questions or concerns. So anything else you'd like to ask?
I think that was mainly it in this time because I mean she's got like the fluid starting to come out of her mouth. I mean I don't want to be graphic in front of everybody, but they did give her a medication to like help stop that, but I'm noticing it more and everything. So like I said, I know we're very, very close.
All right. Well, kudos to you for being at
Sure.
this meeting and while your dear mama is passing. And I want you to know it's the greatest honor to all of us for you to be here. If there's any way we can help, let me know.
Well, I think you did because I have you on speakers. I kind of like put the phone like right there by her ear as well, so that you know, like it's not just me saying that it continues, but she hears someone else saying
Yep.
and other people's experiences.
Yes. Great idea.
Yes. So I thank you so much, so much. You're really helping a lot of people,
Well,
and
that's
I'm
what.
excited about the soul phone because maybe, and I want her to hear that too.
Yeah.
So maybe.
That's one of my last conversations I had with my mom, who passed about 2 years ago, and because she knew about the soul phone, and I said, "Well, Mom, I don't know if this is like 2 days before she passed." I said, and she was really losing it, and I said, "I don't know if we'll be able to talk again on Earth, but we'll talk on the soul phone as soon as possible." And she said, "Well, I'll do everything I can on my end to do it right."
Oh,
So it's like, wow, what a cool conversation to have. So yeah,
it really
tell her
is.
that, Mom, we're gonna be contacting you. Remember the word soul phone.
Soul phone. Oh yeah. I love it. I love it. Thank
Ah,
you so much. You made me feel better too.
yeah,
You
take care.
did. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Martha, for all the work that you did. Like I
Oh,
said, that you did and that you do. You know, you also helped me like years ago, but I'm like, that's another conversation. I know there's other people that want to talk. But yeah, you helped me about 8 years ago.
well, glad to be in touch again. It's a sacred privilege.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
All right, you too. Wow, if there are any other questions, I don't know how anybody can top that one. Good time to close.